All right. So one of my friends has alerted me that the audio was off. Appreciate that. That's good. I didn't waste a whole lot of time. There's not a whole lot of people here yet. Absolutely scintillating start by North Carolina. Right down the field, 7 plays, 83 yards. Verhoff's extra point is good. And yeah, there we go. That's about as good of a start as you could possibly ask for. My Twitter's going nuts, as you expect. the, the camera goes to like all these people on yeah, I mean, I forgot when obviously Carolina's a basketball school, but anytime you got Michael Jordan at the game, regardless, he's not basketball. He's like, he transcends life. Carolina, with Lawrence Taylor playing there, still, they just showed so many people after that touchdown, and you just like, wow, I know that person, I know that person, I know that person, and then, of course they show the girlfriend, which is comical as well. This is a fascinating game for lots of reasons, not just because of Belichick taking over at Carolina with Lombardi as his GM, because of the fact that this game opened Carolina the favorite when the line came out. Depending on where you shop, all the way back in April, May, whatever. It wasn't that way for very long. Texas Christian was the favorite all the way into kickoff, all the way up to kickoff, and everybody that I talked to, it's mostly suckers, but a few wise guys that got good prices, anything less than 3. Close 3.5. I made the game 5, but I would never have TCU in this spot. I need to watch Carolina play. And let's remember, Texas Christian has been in one of these high-profile games with this coach before. 2 years ago, the year after they actually went to the national championship game, they came back in August, and Deion Sanders of Colorado went down to Fort Worth as a 23-point dog and shocked the world and beat them outright. Beat TCU outright. So Dykes has been here. I would expect them to be prepared for the circus. But I'll tell you one thing: that first drive was knife through butter. Concepts were crisp. Gio Lopez, the South Alabama transfer, completed 2 passes to Jordan Shipp, who is an absolute animal. Caleb Hood pounded his way in for the touchdown. And North Carolina, showing no real signs of losing that stud running back to the NFL. They're up 7-0, and we have only played 4 minutes and 5 seconds. See if TCU has an answer. Live price Carolina's between 2.5, as high as 3 at Chris. So they're big believers in what's happening here. Unlike last night, my situation is a little different. Again, this is what I say every time, and I'll keep saying it until I get, dozens of people watching me and they know the rules. They know the way things are. But, the bottom line is if I have the game on NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, or CW, I'm going to have a faster feed than you because I have an antenna on 2 of my 9 TVs. The problem comes if there's 3 or 4 games that are worthy, then I have to pick the 2 that I want. But at least on 2 of the games, I'm going to be faster than you at all times. If they show it on ESPN or anything that's not on cable, then it's a different story. It becomes, wow, look at all these celebrities. This is comical. Yeah, LT and Jordan. I'd love to be in that box tonight. But yeah, if anything that's not basically on the antenna, it's on cable or something that I have to stream off of whatever, then I'm going to be on delay. So I got one eye on the box score, and I'll know what's happening a lot of times before it actually happens on the field. Texas Christian starting at their own 25, and the first play is a 12-yard complete pass to McAllister. Hoover, the quarterback. One of the things that I noticed when doing a little research for this game, just to kind of be prepared in case you guys were, wanting me to give you a little bit of X's and O's type work, is that he really likes to throw the ball to the middle of the field, and they are very good at that. I think he was top 3 or 4 in the country last year in throwing downfield over the middle. North Carolina's defense was suspect at that, but that's kind of an asterisk because you have an entire new team, coaching staff, all this. Jesus, Rexy, spit it out. Scheme, team, and coaching staff. So last year's stats are sort of throwouts for Carolina. Again, we'll see what TCU tries to do to go through that. Now, again, this game, the total opened as high as 58-59, and I think it was that high most of the summer. It actually got bet up to the 60ish range at some places at some point, I believe. Crashing late down to 55. And again, first of all, it's a big number to begin with. And second of all, there's just a barrage of games in these marquee spots, especially when the point spread was inside of a touchdown, where you just basically had, every game was just a dead nut under. I mean, nothing even got close. Now, depending on where you shop last night with Notre Dame, I think it fell 51. everybody should have been a winner. I mean, with the weather being a factor, and it rained and it got bet up and then down and then it went up back up again and then it crashed on game day because of the weather. You'd really have to be bad at betting on sports for a living to not make money on that total if you were involved in it at all. Because obviously, more important than anything else is not who you like or what side you like, but at what price you get it at. Once again tonight, this is a YouTube stream and a Twitch TV. Twitch TV is my main focus. That's something that I don't think the gambling community has properly exploited yet. I don't think anybody has the skill set to do what I do, to be able to talk you through games, look through live plays, half times, momentum of the game, X's and O's, what I'm seeing, where the line started, where it closed, what groups possibly were sharp or whatever on certain sides, so kind of know how to have a good feel for what's happening. Feel free to ask questions on both YouTube and Twitch. I'll try to get to them as I can. I don't want to sit here and talk to myself for hours on end. It's better to be able to interact with people who are watching me and hopefully being informed, entertained, and educated. And tonight, with me having no action on this game going in, there will be no yelling and screaming and cursing. Such a good day. It's the last day in Las Vegas of highs that perceived to be 106 range today. We're going to get it down to 100 tomorrow. Monsoon season is not quite over yet, and chances of rain will be in the forecast with humidity all the way, with highs back in the 90s for the rest of the week. Not a good punt as Carolina's drive stalls out, or TCU's drive stalls out after the initial first down, and that's only a 25-yard punt. North Carolina's going to take over at their own 35. 8:54 to go in the first. Carolina holds serve, and then they break. And they leave 7-0. We're 6 minutes and 6 seconds into the game. North Carolina now in the live prices are roughly 3.5 out there, with some of the offshores looking at 6 dog money. Anywhere between that's probably right. I would say 4.5 or 5.5. With the total somewhere in the 58-ish range, depending on where you shop. Elsewhere in sports today, I'll run down briefly for those of you who are interested. The tennis prices. We're down to the quarterfinals after one more tennis match tonight. You've got a women's match where there's a long shot. Westgate didn't even have her, actually. Circa did. Beatriz Haddad Maia, before the tournament, was 200-1. She faces Ansimova tonight. Ansimova was 18-1 to win it before the tournament. I think she was one of the, I'm not sure the seed, but about the 15th choice, give or take. So I think the Westgate had Circa had a little higher, like closer to the 8th. But either way, they were 28. Westgate was 18. So that's the last of the the last of the round of 16 matches tonight. It looks like the longest shot for the women, Vondrousova, 100-1, is already through, and Krejcikova was 60-1, and she's through. I'll have to look at Circa's prices to see if anybody longer than that was through. I just sort of marked them on the Westgate. Looks like in the men's side, Jiří Lehachka is 200-1 before the tournament started. He is the longest shot that is left. And Circa had him 150. So if you have long shot rooting interest, that's what you're rooting for. They have to win 3 more matches. Obviously, center Alcaraz, Djokovic, Fritz, De Minaur. Algar-Aliassime has FAA has beaten a couple of guys above him, pulled a couple upsets to be alive, and then Musetti as well. On the women's side, Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Osaka, Mukova, Pegula, Krejcikova, and then Vondrousova are also still alive. So that'll be the last of the tennis references. I don't see any questions yet. Let's see. I'll also go through a little bit later the Circa openers in the college football for next week. And some of my thoughts on those. I'll briefly touch on some of the games from last week. I'm wearing a Westgate Super Contest shirt that I was able to receive right now. It looks like a $500 shirt because that was the entry fee into the contest, and I think I put up a donut. Great work on Thursday night with some winners. I didn't participate in the contest on the Thursday games. I wanted to wait it out and get better prices, and I had it down to about 11 games that I wanted to use before Saturday. So Friday I wanted to use Western Michigan. I couldn't because Ed used 20.5 as the line. It closed 23. Never worry about the fact that Western Michigan was absolutely the wrong side. They still got a pick 6 late and got a backdoor cover. And so they won, didn't use them. And there was another side that I did use, Baylor, that lost. and then the games on Saturday just got away from me really early, and it got worse late. Betting wise, the free roll stuff, the guys that I'm working with, we did a lights out job, and of course the streams. Those of you who watch me Thursday and Friday, it went really well. Saturday choppy early, and then late I think 1 and 6 or something. It just got away, and never got back. Just a miserable night. Those of you who want to see me in my element with all the cussing and stuff, even without the booze, you had plenty of that on Saturday night. If you want to go back and watch the tape, I know it's available on YouTube. I'm not sure what the rules are with seeing the streams on Twitch if you have the tape delay. There's a false start on North Carolina as they start the second drive. I think it was on the left tackle. So second and fifth, or yeah, sorry, first and 15. Let's see. Our 2 CFL games. There's a lot of day baseball. All those games for the night session are gone. The last game that started the first pitch was Texas and Arizona, which actually started around the same time as this game. So Carolina runs it on first and 15. Not much there. Freddie Kitchens against Andy Avalos. 2 guys that have had at least a modicum of success at this level. Kitchens more so in the NFL. Kitchens looks younger. I think he's lost some weight. He used to be a relative refrigerator size. Of course, I think that he's an ex-offensive lineman, so that would make sense. The big fella. Drops back shotgun all day. Not all day anymore. And did they get him? Yeah, they say his knee was down. 4-man rush. He had time. Nobody could get open. I'm occasionally seeing some things pop up on my tweet deck. I have to try to ignore while the game's on because there's a couple of things that have just been screaming for me to argue. I think one of them was talking about thinking that Arizona's a bet-on team. Could not disagree more. I watched Arizona Saturday. It wasn't the fact that Arizona was any good. It was the fact that Hawaii was abysmal. And the quarterback got hurt, which he probably shouldn't have been playing to begin with. I actually thought the backup for Hawaii, from what I had gathered, was going to be like not as big of a drop-off as what I anticipated. He was no good. A couple of really bad mistakes. Hawaii did move the ball some. The box score is somewhat deceptive. The yardage were pretty similar. That's not true. The game was not nearly 40-6, but it also wasn't like 360 to 320 either. Bottom line, it was a much more competitive game than 40-6, but it wasn't nearly as competitive as 360 to 310 or whatever it was. Hawaii has lots of deficiencies, and Arizona was sloppy in their first game. But their offense, basically was able to do what it needed to just because they outclassed Hawaii at a lot of positions. That won't continue. The schedule is too hard in that conference. I didn't make a big adjustment up for them. And I really didn't have Hawaii that big enough up to adjust down after what happened. The market did a good job of getting out ahead of me on them. I tried to make the proper adjustments. But I'll still be more anti-Arizona and not as much. I'm certainly not going to go out of my way to sprint to the window to get Hawaii. To bet on them, I should say, but I don't think that there's going to be that bad if the quarterback can somewhat stay healthy when they go back down to the competition that they should be playing. And again, a lot of this stuff in week 1, you have to worry about the overreactions. For example, Stanford lost at Hawaii. I mean, we might look back if Stanford's coach does a good job. I mean, again, I don't know whether they buy in or not. We might say, like, what happened in that game? So maybe Stanford gets lucky and wins 4 or 5 games, and Hawaii only wins 2 or 3. Not probable. That's a bad example. But there are going to be games later on this season where we're going to look back at week 0 and week 1 and go, what happened there? Like, how could this have possibly happened? And it happens every year. The overreactions they seem to get more exaggerated every year. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing. It's a fact of life. It's the world we live in. It's a society where we remember what we saw last. And that happens as bettors as well. And so a lot of times you're going to see some games where you're like, wait a minute, what's the line there? Why is this line this? I saw a lot of people talking earlier about Illinois and Duke, and how could that be the line? Let me look at the game number there to find this, because it's game 335 and 336. Circa opens at 1. Illinois the favorite, and then it's bet to like 3 or whatever. People are like shocked by that. Like, how could that be the line? Well, I mean, I'm not surprised by it at all. I made the game too. I mean, is it that much? Is Illinois really that good? Is there supposed to be that much hype around them being going into Duke and just naming the store against Duke? I don't see that happening. I mean, Duke, the quarterback's an upgrade. They didn't really have to show a whole lot. I mean, I would expect them to be in it with a chance to win. Would it surprise me if they won? No, not at all. The Carolina punt was 34 yards. They get it now to the TCU 42. Good field position for the Frogs, and the live price has gone back below 3, as it should. 2.5 flat with a little bit of dog money some places, and the total is back in the 55.5 range. This drive here will be imperative to see if Texas Christian can get something done here. I'd like to think that maybe they're worth a look. I'm sorry. I'd like to think that over might be worth a look. I'm willing to give Carolina a little bit of a mulligan on the second drive. You can be sure that offensive lineman 72 is getting his ass chewed over there for the false start. Anytime you have to work behind the sticks, I mean, that's always a negative EV situation in football. And someone is a stickler for perfection like Belichick doesn't really take kindly to those kind of mistakes. It's not like you can just take him out in the middle of the drive. I would be curious to see what kind of depth they have at left tackle, because it'd be funny if he didn't even start the next drive. Just put him on the bench for a drive, because making mistakes like that, putting yourself behind the 8 ball, you can overcome it for sure in a college game where the total's in the mid 50s and you just took it right down the field the first time, of course. But like I say, there's you're already starting behind when it's 1st and 15, and then when you don't get anything positive to happen and take a sack, you're up against it. So I think that they will still continue. Like I said, they're still the favorite to have chances to score every time. And if TCU can show they can move it here, then we'll see. And last year, this kid threw for almost 4,000 yards, 27 and 11. So it's like I said, this first drive is imperative. The second drive, sorry, is imperative here. The rust is off. The nerve should be gone, and let's see what they do. My box score is well ahead of my feed here, so now we got there's a lot of these college teams this weekend, are hell bent on getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands and getting it to guys in space, particularly if you have playmakers. I mean, I thought that Ohio State kind of tried to do a good job of getting the ball to Smith when he was a little bit miffed that he wasn't getting it early, but Texas was ready for that. They weren't going to let him beat them. And Notre Dame last night ran a barrage of RPOs, and they sort of just forgot that they had their running back number 4. What's his name? Love. He's one of the best running backs in the country, and they just totally ignored the guy for 28 straight minutes. I'm sure if they had that to do over again, they probably would have reconsidered what they did with the play calls, maybe even scripted a little bit different. TCU does like to play fast as well. So on third down, the pass that's thrown deep, kind of a fade, I guess, sort of a stop and go fade. They called interference. I don't know. To me, it looks like there's a little bit of hand fighting. If anything, it's ticky tack. I wouldn't have called that. So let's see if Texas Christian can take advantage here. 6:12 to go, and they are in Carolina territory. Cody, I appreciate you, pal. Yes, BS flag, I agree. And Cody, I'm going to, and this is for everybody else too, I'm going to try to do this. It's taken me a little bit of time to get to build the thing up. Tomorrow and Wednesday, I'll have plenty of time. Obviously, I'm finishing up numbers for a couple things. I want to go through my NFL work because I got to send that out to a friend later on. But I want to maybe get the page to look a little bit more professional before I start going to Twitter. I'm not quite ready yet. I'm still sort of in the infancy stages of this thing, and with it being the first week, I got to make sure I practice my ability to talk, inform, entertain, educate, all that good stuff. And I think I'm good at those things. I don't think I need a ton of practice, but I don't have a lot of experience with the back end. I don't have a lot of experience with doing, all kinds of crap with the camera. For example, here when I go to half times, I can go click on this, and then bam, there you go. You got an odd screen with me in the corner. Stuff like that. I had a friend help me set up that the other night, but again, he's not here and he's not on my payroll. So these are things that I'll have to figure out on my own to get the scenes and the sources, especially the scene set up. So these are things that are super important to get figured out in the grand scheme of things to make it look good. I've got all kinds of ideas. I need to get a logo. I need to get the start stream, the end stream. Thank you for watching. When I'm on a break or I'm eating, I go to the bathroom, anything like that, to have a screen for that. So all that stuff is it's important. Certainly, I've got a headset as well, Cody. It's comfortable and it sounds good, and I can mute my outside noise, but I don't need it. I'm by myself. There's no kids that I know of, no pets, no parents, no friends, no chicks, just me and my 9 TVs, of which tonight I only need one. I'm not going to sweat the baseball. I've already told myself. And and the mic's obviously professional, and without the headsets, I don't have to worry about that. The screen's good. I can work on other things for a background if needed. Shotgun drops back. Oh, this is a go route, and he's beat the defensive back badly, and that's a touchdown. That is Jordan Dwyer, and the Horned Toads have tapped in. So North Carolina's first touchdown drive was really impressive because it came quickly and it was just a schematic advantage where they sort of stung them a couple times. TCU's touchdown was aided by the officials. That pass interference call was ticky-tack at best and quite blatantly bad at worst. Real nice job by the back to pick up the blitzer and give the quarterback plenty of time. And that's Josh Hoover, who I won't say he's elite, but certainly in a conference full of guys that can sling it, he fits right in. That's 6 plays and 58 yards for TCU, 2:31 off the clock. Limmerman's extra point is good. It's 7-all. 4:08 to go in the first. Live price, TCU back to the favorite. They were catching as many as 3.5 just 2 drives ago. Things change vociferously, especially early on in these contests when you talk about, you're not sure quite what to expect. You don't know anything about the teams yet. It's early in the season, let alone early in the game. Tied at 7, 4:08 to go in the first. Yardage, Carolina 77-58. Each team has had it twice. They've punted once. They've scored once. Lopez's last drive was derailed by the false start on the first play. The live price is now into the 60s, which means I can't really do anything with it. I think Pinnacle has a fat finger. 68 can't be right. There's 60, 60.5 everywhere. Pinnacle's got a mistake. Another thing, Odds Logic is my odds screen of choice for those who are curious. I'm friends with Spanky. I like him. His service is a little more than what I need, given that I'm not working for a sports book, which means I don't get free access like I would. And again, same thing for Don Best. I used to have access to that for free my whole life for the last 20 years. But it's actually funny. One of my friends gave me the master password for Chris, which used to be username bet Chris, password master. Unfortunately, the Don Best people found out about this, and I talked to one of them, like, what happened to the Chris account? And he said, well, we could see 415 people logged into that master password. I'm sure most of them were probably from Costa Rica. They all shared the account with each other. So your funny story of the night earlier, they finally saw that and they shut it off. So I was one of the 415. I lost access to Don Best several weeks ago, and like I said, I'm not paying for it. The Odds Logic screen, I'm friendly with Rick Alec, who used to work at Don Best and Sports Options, son of former Heritage owner Roger Alec. Rick's is a professional guy, stand-up, bang-up job. Odds Logic is a professional service. Those people do a good job there. They know what they're doing. It's cheaper than the other two, and for me, it's nothing because I've given them some feedback, and highly recommend it if you're in search of a live odds service that you're wanting to get the best bang for your buck. They're the best, I think, and obviously, Spank Odds, which is now Spot. Chinese Mike keeps telling me Spot Odds, and Don Best also good, and they both have delayed options that you can use if you take a 2 or 3 minute delay. you pay a lot less for it. Again, those that pay the through the nose for it, the professional options are a must, because especially for live betting, you need to make sure that you have access to the prices as they become available instantaneously. Carolina's next drive, they start again at the 25. Caleb Hood's first carry is for a yard, and he also gets it on the next play out of the gun, kind of the pistol, I guess it looks like this time, and it's a loss of a yard. So TCU stacked him up here. Little surprised that Carolina went so conservative coming out of this drive with given the success that Lopez had throwing the ball to, especially to Ship on the first drive. I gotta think they look for him. I would suspect that TCU may try to roll their coverage to that guy, given that those are the two. I mean, really, if you're trying to prep for Carolina going in, the only two things that you really kind of know, if Lopez is going to throw it, then Ship's going to be the main. He's going to be the main target, and obviously Hood's, on the ground is the guy that's supposed to replace Mr. Omarion. Roll left, fires it over everybody's head. This was kind of, they did sort of roll that safety to that side, and pass was for Ship, and it was incomplete. So the Tar Heels will punt, and the live price now will go back to TCU being higher than what they were even pregame. Still got a couple of my friends who want to hit me up with messages on WhatsApp or Signal or Telegram. Well, that is appreciated, and especially after the stream is over with, to give me feedback. Please don't do it during the games. I need to devote my attention to the people who are watching, however long it be, whether it be 2 hours or so, maybe like tonight, or like 13 on Saturday. The punt is 45 yards, and fair caught at the 30. Texas Christian takes over at 2:37 to go. Live price 5, total in the high 50s. No commercial this time. I guess Mr. Mouse, aka Walt Disney, is satisfied with his ad revenue thus far. Therefore, the TV man didn't come on the field with that clock that says 4 minutes or whatever each time there's a commercial. If you go to Games Live, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So that's how you know the TV timeout's coming even before it does it. They got a little guy over there with the kind of like the chain gang with the little sign that he plants in the ground, and then right before the commercial comes, it's way far away from the main part of the field so that the camera doesn't pick it up. All right, play fake, throws it over the middle. This is complete. It's a first down for TCU on 2nd and 10. It's Hoover out to the 40. To Rogers, sorry. Lots of quick stuff, not surprising. That's TCU's offense. And now have trips right, and the back gets it as they motion the other back out of the way. That's Barnes, number 2. He's going to be the primary back, I would suspect, when they're trying to run it between the tackles out of the gun. TCU did run for only 114 per game. That's good for 113th in the country last year, as ESPN so adroitly noted. I will argue the fact that if you look at TCU's situations last year, they were playing from behind a good deal of the time. The defense was suspect at best. In that league, if you're playing from behind, you're gonna have to chuck it. So this is a drop back, and kind of was supposed to be a pass, and he ends up taking it, chucking it down and getting about 3. And so that makes it a manageable situation. They'll probably have 3rd and about 6 at the 44. Hoover evidently is also a pitcher. I'm not sure at what level that is. I think that looked like it couldn't have been a TCU, could it? Clock now down inside of 40 seconds in the first quarter. Shotgun again, trips left. Looks like the ESPN telestrator announcer is showing that Carolina's going to blitz from their right side, TCU's left. Yeah, he's coming, and they threw right into it. Complete. Great read. I don't know if that's Herb Street tonight or ever who's calling the game. I have mute. But good read by him and a good read by the quarterback. And they got right to the first down sticks. The refs are already moving the chains, and that will end the first quarter. So after 15 minutes in Chapel Hill, the 3.5 point favorite Horned Frogs of Texas Christian are on the move. They're at midfield, and their third possession, and they are tied up with host North Carolina 7-7. This game moves to the second quarter. Live market prices, TCU as high as 5.5 at places with some juice attached. Total 56.5. At some, I see a 58 out there. I lean over. Don't love it enough to pull the trigger. I'm not so sure. The Carolina's offense for me, those last two drives, there were some. Well, the second one, I'm going to continue to give them a mulligan because of where they started. They were behind the sticks, but I wasn't impressed with the play calls in the third drive. And, TCU probably has a little bit better talent. I mean, I guess. Obviously, the market thinks so, given that they started as a dog and turned into a road favorite in this game. But like I said, there's too many unknowns. Anybody that wants to bet this game, unless they either know the status of one or both of these programs like really well, like innately well, I just think that you're gambling, and I'm not in the mood for that. That's not my thing, and it may cost me some people. I know a couple of my friends are like, you need to be going on there talking about having you got your in on this game, and I'm just like, I'm not the shock jock that does this. I'm just trying to come on here, and I'll make sure people have a good time when they watch me. If they're watching the game, my goal is to hit mute on the announcers and listen to me. I'm going to give you something that's plus EV and help you try to earn. And at the very least, if you don't have an opinion either, maybe I can talk you into something. And if you do, then maybe I can give you something to make you feel good about your position, or I can, unknowingly and unwittingly tell you something that makes you feel bad about it. Maybe put you in a spot. And again, I know it's not human nature, but there's times where I've been on a side of a game and had to go against it, and I hate that. Or, yesterday, for example, in my first live play in the Virginia Tech South Carolina game was on under 48.5, and then my next bet was on over. Again, now there was obviously 8 points to work with in the middle, but that wasn't the reason. I'm making those plays because of what I see at the time. I don't get married to a side, and certainly, or a total. I don't get married to one or the other. I just happen to try to see what my eyes tell me, and try to see where the value is based on what my number is compared to what the market is. I believe I've been doing this long enough. I started making live numbers on games back in Costa Rica in 2006. Used to work for Lenny Cascade, and we were booking, me and my buddy Pim would be booking out of the Jazz office, with another. We had a hell of an office in there. There was a couple of guys from Nebraska that were running their book out of there. At the time it was Metallic. There was, my buddy Dewey Tomko had his, that's Doyle, and those guys had their operation. Chip Reese, they ran their office, the credit shop out of there. There was Doug Bluegrass. We had some characters in that building, boys. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, that's we were booking. This is like 2006, 2007. We were booking the end games as early as then, and had a hell of a time with it because there wasn't any algorithms, there was no computers, there were no any other markets. It was just us putting it up and taking our best shot at what we thought was right. I mean, obviously, how to do the total without having to do anything, just based off. Especially like, for example, it's a lot easier. I'm not going to explain to college. You can do it, but it's, say an NBA total is 240. So that means, and obviously I'm not going to get here and do a math lesson, but basically you'd say, okay, fine. 240 is just an easy number to work with. So that means every quarter is 60. That means 30 to 30 each way, whatever, give or take if the game's a pick. You don't necessarily have to care who's winning or losing, but okay, fine, well, 240. So you work off, all right, so whatever the score is, you take the number of points scored and divide it by the number of points they expect scored per minute the rest of the game, times it by how much time's left. So I can give you the formula later, but that's the basic way without having to do any work. without having to have any robots or algorithms and stuff. As long as you have a calculator to help you through it as you try to work your way through, you can kind of have an idea what the prices were. And again, back then we weren't booking the end game on a play-by-play basis. That's the one thing that the Euros brought over here that I'll give them the respect. They forced all the offshore people and the people that are legalized now that have brought in their own software, wherever, and not gone Euro centric to figure out a way to get the algorithms up to speed on being able to book the game play by play. But as Bill Krakenberger has mentioned many times, and I don't disagree with him, if you're betting into and one of my friends, one of the Antonelli brothers, Michael, mentioned several times as well, if you're betting into those lines, unless you're court siding, unless you absolutely know what happened, it's a really big risk to try to bet while the game's being played, because in theory, if they put you on the spin cycle, then they have a chance to free roll you. And yeah, I mean that's an unfair advantage, and that's why I don't recommend betting live or in games when the game's going on, the ball's in the line of scrimmage, unless you're actually there to see what's happening, because you're trying to put a bet in, the line's constantly moving. I mean, I know from my own experience, if you try to bet a live line on BetChris or bookmaker, whatever you want to call it, I mean, you're like 50-50 to have a chance to get it in no matter when you bet it, just because there's so many things happening over the course of the games. And if it's a football game where a team's going no huddle, you have almost no chance. I mean, if someone's having to input the data and then they see the down and distance and the time, the machine's already got the point spread pregame and the total pregame and the score. So somebody has to input how many yards were gained on the last play. So time, or so we're down distance, situation, clock running or not, how much time's left. So all those things factor into what the robot spits out for the in-game price. Lots of talking there. Hopefully somebody got something out of it. That'll be the goal of these things. Like I say, I try to inform. You're watching the game. You don't need me to tell you what's happening. I'm not going to sit here and give you play-by-play. I'm watching it too. I see what's happening on this drive as Texas Christian's taking it down. A lot of shotgun stuff. They're playing quickly. Not a surprise, which, again, that kind of is part of the handicap when you're looking at no-huddle stuff. With the total being this high, you sort of know it's going to be similar to that. So, Texas Christian has the ball now down inside the 15. Long pass to DJ Rogers. That's his second catch of the day. Hoover's done a hell of a job of spreading it out so far. 7 different guys have caught a pass. For Carolina, it's just the 2 catches by Ship from Lopez on the first drive, nothing else. This one's thrown out of the end zone. One thing that I've noticed, like I said, that first drive looked great, and they really, since then, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and pin it on that offensive lineman and put him in first and 15. And again, they've only had 2 drives since, but it seems like TCU's certainly growing into it, and the live price reflected it. At the end of the first quarter, there were some 5.5s out there, and that sort of surprised me that was that high. Now, again, 5 sort of a dead number. You're not going to see a whole lot different between 4.5 and 5.5, but I really thought that it might be as low as 4. But clearly the market sees it a little different. Let's see. I got a Canasu's in here. And then I got my boy Third Splash Bra. Under 54.5. He says his goose is cooked. Well, I can tell you, Third Splash Bra, with the next live update, we'll see if it's cooked or not. Make sure you have your apps fired up or your desktop ability to get involved and see what to do. 1st and 25 here for TCU. They throw it now back, and they got some of the yardage back to the 15. It'll be 2nd down. I'm on the delay, as I remind you, watching on ESPN. I can see the box of what's happening, so I'll stop at the play-by-play and catch myself up here. 13-yard catch, a 5-yard catch, and now incomplete. And so it's 4th and 7 at the 10, and there's looks like about 11 and some change to go before halftime. Live prices are now down because of a potential field goal attempt or probable field goal attempt. It's coming shortly. Man, it feels weird to see Belichick wearing a full sleeve hoodie on a college sideline. So Hoover on this drive. Now Hoover's stats through this drive. 11 for 13, 94 yards for the game. Taking what they're giving him. TCU now is 2 for 4 on third down. Carolina's last two drives, they were on third down. Didn't get either one of them after the first drive, not even coming near third down. Oh, man. I think that ball's got to be caught. Chase? Yeah, man, you got to make a play there, son. Yeah, that's a great concept. They roll him left. Oh, yeah, Herbstreit's saying that the other guy got open at the end. He's right. Still, he had single coverage in the end zone. All right, they're taking forever to score this field goal. They're already out there kicking it. Okay, so they showed the box score says it's good, 32 yards. Oh, there was a false start there to knock them back. So TCU takes a 10-7 lead now, 11-13 to go before halftime. Kick by Limmerman is good, 14 plays, 55 yards, 6:24 off the clock as TCU takes its first lead of the game. Again, the game opened North Carolina small favorite, closed TCU 3.5, total 55-ish. The current price looks like some offshore places are as low as 4 and as high as 6.5. So now we have some dissension in the ranks. Total being 54 to 55.5 under a bunch of juice. So third splash bra, you're not cooked. That's my news flash. I want to see Carolina on offense here. I'm looking for a reason to try to go over. I think it could turn into a track meet, but I don't know. Carolina's last two drives again, nothing to write home about. And again, I think that Dykes put a premium on trying to upgrade his defense this year, knowing full well that they have a lot of pieces in place to be able to put up points in the Big 12 with this offense. TCU is one of a barrage of teams that fits in quite nicely to have a chance to win that conference title. And again, by winning that conference title, that means you're playing in a championship game. All these teams that have a chance to try to go to the playoffs are going to have to figure out a way just to win that. So just be one of the top two is really the goal. And, of course, the betting prices before the season, Kansas State, Arizona State, Utah. Actually, Utah was Ed's favorite at the Westgate. Texas Tech, Baylor were the 5 clear choices. And then after that, TCU, Iowa State, and then maybe a little bit of a drop-off to Kansas. So, those are basically going in. And we'll see. BYU's a fascinating choice. Ed didn't like them preseason. They looked supposedly good the other night. Let's see what happens this week. They were 30-1, so a little bit up the track. I personally, at Kansas, I thought 16, 18-1 on Kansas was absurd, and that's my long shot to win a conference title this year. I still think that, and if anybody's looking for it, they can probably still get it. That price will disappear this weekend because they will go to Missouri and win the border war. I made Kansas the favorite in that game, and Missouri is laying 6. 344 is the game number on the rotation to give you a little sniff of a preview before Saturday. Circa opened the game 5. I made Kansas 1. I'm really high on Kansas. I love their coach. Was on them big against Fresno in the first game. In week 0, the only play we made, easy winner. And we're going to go back to ring the bell again on that game this week. Not necessarily thinking that Missouri is not going to be good. They might. Their SEC schedule is extremely soft, and they have a chance to win maybe 8 or 9 games. I'm just not buying that this is one of them. That's why they'll lose. Probably 2 minimum and maybe 3 in the league, and then I think they'll lose this one too. So, back to matters at hand at Chapel Bill. TCU 10, Carolina 7, 11-13 to go before the break. The line has settled in now on the live price at 4, 4.5. Some juice, obviously, depending on the price, is involved as well. A little bit towards the favorite, looks like at 4, 4.5 even. 4.5 is really kind of flattish. Again, a lot of these places are dealing a 30-cent line, some even a 40-cent line, which means you're laying minus 115 or minus 120. At commercials, I don't like that. During the game, I don't have a problem with it because that way you don't get pass posted or court-sided. But when there's a commercial or even at halftime when you're dealing in-game and not the second half line, that should really, in theory, be at minus 110 both ways. You already have an edge. There's no reason to try to exploit people with it. I mean, there's enough of a market. Just put it up and let people bet. Don't try to rob and steal from them. Total's 54.5 to 55.5, give or take. So about what we were talking about earlier about what it closed. Cody's talking about Utah to win the Big 12. Are you talking about not getting enough down because you really like them that much? You're wanting to bet as much as you can. You're talking about you can't get enough down um, because your outs aren't giving you limits big enough. That's the question I need answered there, because if you're not getting enough because your outs aren't giving you big enough limits, then you got chicken shit outs. In my mind, at this point of the season, this early, these people should be booking. The adjustments should have already been made by today, and you should be booking that stuff for as high as you can from now until Saturday. And even then, I would still book them high, probably for the end, all the way through the month. And then as you start to see some things happen, then you make some adjustments. Your whole percentage should go up a little bit. You can start taking the teams out that can't really win it. And of course, a lot of times when the teams that go out that can't win, your whole percentage naturally, as a bookmaker, will drop. Your theoretical hold becomes better for the players. But you can always massage that ever how you want to accordingly. Utah certainly looked impressive. We were part of the group. It was the whole world on Utah, and I thought once UCLA hit 6 and was a little higher than that they were correct. And if you'd have been watching my stream on Saturday night, it took me all of about, I don't know, maybe 8 plays to really wish I didn't have anything to do with UCLA. Quarterback clearly is I am Olivia. He's going to be leaving UCLA at the end of this year too, unless he's got an actual contract. There is no team in I am Olivia. Lots of eyes. And I think that sort of poisons the locker room. Notice how good Tennessee looked with their guy. I like to wonder if UCLA with Aguilar and Tennessee with I am Olivia would have had some somewhat different results this weekend. Now, granted, Tennessee probably would have overmatched Syracuse regardless of the quarterback, but just what the locker room looks like going forward, Tennessee's probably going to have a cohesive bunch and look pretty good. You got Lopez dropping back, and the not much there for him this time. They got him in the backfield, and it's now 3rd and long after an incompletion. So they took their shot to Taylor on 1st down, and now, with a minimum man blocking, that was only really a 3-man rush. The nose tackle got there. 95 sort of fucked up the whole play, and now Carolina 3rd and forever. So let's see. Love them this year. Dampier's explosion of Dampier. The two quarterbacks that I was not ready for, we were against them both in the contest and actual real money. UCLA plus the points, and clearly wrong. And that's one of those things that I made some very, very quick adjustments. And I realized I fell into the trap last year with UCLA. I had them early in one of the games, and I had to lower them a bunch. And they actually got better and more competitive towards the end of the season, won some games. But I don't like what I see out of them early. And the other one was Oregon State. I thought that was their revenge spot. They got hammered by Cal last year, 44-7 down there, playing at home. Got the Duke kid in to play quarterback. I thought the coach would be more ready. They'd be prepared. I thought Cal would struggle much the same way that Stanford did against Hawaii, and that Cal and Stanford are kind of out on their own island playing in the ACC. This might be Wilson's swan song. And I just totally overlooked the fact that their quarterback's going to be the next coming of God, and just shredded the Beaver defense. Shredding Beavers. I know there's a lot of people that are in here like to do that, especially if, let's move elsewhere. But yep, I agree. Coaching advantage for sure. You're not going to find many games where that Utah guy's not the better coach. I was just so distraught by them last year. I had them so high, and I had prepared for Cam Rising to really set the world on fire. Had him all over the world in futures from the summer, and then when he was listed as questionable in game 1 and never played, it was just like the aura of deceit. Like, there needs to be something that happens to penalize these people for false and bogus injury reports and trying to hide all this information all the time. It's completely bullshit. It's not fair to the bookmaker or the bettor. We deserve to know more. And of course, you want to try to have a competitive advantage. That's fine, but put all the coaches into the fire for it. Anytime you lie about who's playing, who's not, make the fines uncomfortably high to where they're forced to pay it and won't want to. Okay, off the soapbox, back to the game for live purposes here. Another punt for Carolina. This one a 45-yarder. Texas Christian will take over at their own 32. 9:40 to go before halftime. TCU threatening to go up by 2 scores here. Clearly they've got the line of scrimmage. The concern for Carolina is evident now up front. If they can't block the nose tackle, they had 2 guys there when they got the sack on 2nd down, and that's a problem. And again, it looks like TCU was sort of stunned on the first drive, but clearly growing into the game now. And I actually see value on them. If you could find a 6.5 price, unfortunately the juice is getting a little bit steep. There are some sevens. I see a 7 lay 13 at Chris. Hang on a second. Let me sound the whistles. Going to try to recommend a play here, -7. There are some 7.5s. That's too high. Okay. Wait and see here. If you can get it, go get it. For live, I'm going to put it in the chat. That way everybody will see it as well. $9:40 to go. First down at their own 32. They lead 10-7. Basically, the unit situation for you to know going forward. 1 unit small, 2 units medium, 3 units big. Most of the plays will be 1.5 or 2. I mean, the majority 1.5 is just the sweet spot. That's what we can get down on a lot of this stuff. All right, so we did get a little piece. I've been informed. So good luck to us. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. Again, like I say, 133 to 78 yardage wise, and the defense is going through the game. They're able to get pressure on Carolina when they throw it out of the shotgun with minimal rushers. Now, of course, that's only when Carolina had their guys all split out and were playing formations that involve no tight ends. Lots of 11. I could see that they'll probably change that going forward. TCU trips left, fake screen. They end up throwing the screen late after they cleared the field out. The concept and design was good there. Execution was piss poor. The first play was a 12-yard completion by Hoover to Dwyer. That screen was incomplete, and now out of the gun, Payne runs for a yard, and now they complete another pass. And this one's short to Dwyer, and he's going to run for the first down. This play is according to the box score. It's ahead of me as things are happening. Feel free to ask questions, chat. Appreciate you, Cody, for that. Good luck. Third splash bra on your under. I lean your way, given the way the game's playing out. I was looking for excuses to try to go over after the first drive for Carolina and after the first TD drive for TCU, but I don't know if I see it that way. Certainly the pace of the game, when the clock is running, you're talking about no huddles, but no one's really taking a whole lot of shots, and they're not playing like warp speed fast. Sometimes this no huddle stuff is involving a lot of check with me. These TCU guys like to pull a lot of their linemen when they run the ball. Drop back, plenty of time here. Well, this is the play I was talking about where he had time and fired it down and got 21. They said short pass. There ain't nothing short about that. That was a laser beam to the sidelines. Real nice play. Okay, Payne rush for 3, Payne rush for 5. So now Texas Christian is in field goal range. And there's some hand fighting down there too. 7 just outmatched 26 and beat him to the ball. Great play. He's had a great start, 5 for 78. He had the 27-yard catch and he has the touchdown. So it looks like a little bit of a combination between Payne and Barnes for TCU. And on 3rd and 2 out of the gun, give it to Payne. He smashed it up the middle again. So 3 straight plays of running the ball out of the 13 formation. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting for sure. Carolina sort of doesn't have enough guys in the box. I don't know whether those are quarterback reads to the run, just thinking that the Carolinas, it's a sort of, if the quarterback has the right to be able to decide to whether they want to throw it or not based on what looks he's getting from the defense, and he just sees that Carolina's got too many people focusing on the pass. Seems that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3rd and 2 here. Yeah, it's really not there, and they still ran it. They just outclassed him up front and got 3. Okay, now they're going to throw it. Dwyer for 3. So the box is one play ahead of what I'm seeing on TV. So sorry for the confusion. I'm trying to watch what happens as I read the box as well, which are issues that you have first world type things I make jokes about. Sorry. But about being able to watch what's happening, but trying to also see it because it's on delay. Texas Christian, 184 to 78 yardage wise now. Again, that Carolina first drive was really, that's all they've had. They've not done anything really since then. Lots of activity, movement, running around. He had the ball in the backfield for about 8 seconds. Finally dumped it to his safety valve for a 3-yard gain out of the backfield. And they throw incomplete. Sorry, they run for 3 and they throw incomplete. So now, 4th and 4 on the Carolina 17. I suspect the field goal is coming. And to be honest with you, now I'm curious to see what they'll use on the live, even if he makes it. I think I want more TCU. They just seem to be imposing themselves a little bit. One slight concern is the fact that Belichick, I haven't seen him make a halftime adjustment yet, or his coaching staff, and that's because they haven't been in a halftime. His coaching career at the college level. One thing to think about, whether it matters or not, I don't know. But in the NFL, there's people that have been notorious for talking about you have no time to do anything. From the time the second quarter ends until the time the ball's on the tee in the 3rd quarter is 14 minutes. It literally takes you 2 minutes to get to the locker room and back. That's 4. If you have to drop a deuce or take a piss or whatever, that's another couple or 3. You got the groups, a lot of times will meet with their coordinators and whatever, but you're not actually you don't actually have time to sit down with the whole team and chat. College, the halftime is 20 minutes. The story's a little different there. Oh wow, so they're going to say this ball's intercepted. I totally misread it, and it was. They tried to run a bubble screen, it looked like. Let me look. Just overshot him. Yeah, good play by 21. Okay, so now I really that's his first mistake, but them not getting any points here creates even more value. 10 to 7 with 5:13 to go, and let's see what the live price is. It's less than what I had earlier. I'm going to try to tack on another one here. We can get it 5.5. Let's go. Hang on. Live play TCU minus 5.5 is out there. Chris, we're going to get that. If you can get any 5.5 up to minus 120, it's good. Chris Pinnacle have both. There's 6.5s in town. I do not recommend those unless it's even money or better. One thing to note, I try to be pretty consistent with this, is that I will not put out anything live or recommend anything live when the game's being played if there's no commercial. Even a turnover, a field goal when there's no commercial after the field goal is good. Generally speaking, I just don't think it's fair. You guys won't have enough time to adjust. Even when I have the game on the normal feed and not the ESPN or FS1 or something on cable feed, I just don't think it's not plausible. I can recommend it to you to do what you want to verbally, but I can't put out something that I say I'm doing or whatever, even if I'm going to try to, or even if I can get it in. For the most part, I just can't. I'm not going to sit here and try to chart that for record-keeping purposes. I want to keep records because I want it to be fair. I want you guys to see how I'm doing and, chart my ability to be good at this, and note that, I've been doing it for so long I'm supposed to win. But ultimately, I have to make sure that it's fair for everybody. All right, so let's reset everything here. It's 10-7, Texas Christian. Carolina's going to take over at their own 19 following an interception. That's the first turnover for either team today. Yardage currently 184 to 78. Carolina got those yards, 83 on the first drive, and they've since lost 10. So everything since then, yeah, it's been a struggle. And again, I think a lot of that's TCU's defense going into the game. Like I said, the concern for me is that Carolina's adjustments at halftime. They'll have a little bit extra time compared to a Belichick halftime, and they have coaches that have been in these situations. Belichick, when he's been behind at halftime before, has had luck in the past. I just don't know talent-wise if they've got it. I just don't know if they're good enough against this team to keep it within a touchdown. From what I've seen since the first drive, the answer is no. Play fake, run. I thought it was actually going to fake it. Good sell job. Okay, so I'm back to the box scores. It's the feeds. The video feed's a little bit behind, as I've told you, not being able to watch this thing. 4-yard gain, 2-yard gain on 2 runs between the A gaps. What's Belichick? What are they doing here? He's yelling and screaming about something. It's the bad part about having audio. I got no clue what they're saying here. Clock winding down inside of 4.5 minutes to go. Uh-oh. I see TCU touchdown. What happens here? I'll pick 6. Well, let's just see how this transpires. For Mr. Third Splash Bra on under, that's a bad situation, and for me, it's a good one. To be quite fair, this game has gotten itself into a situation where under was starting to look to be correct. The total had gotten into the 40s before that play. It'll go back up into the 50s now, although I'm not sure that's correct. Okay, here's the play. Let's see what happens. Shotgun. Oh, he just threw, basically trying to throw an out route, and the defensive back read it and jumped it and took it to the house. Those are the problems with those kind of plays, is if the D-back reads it and anticipates it and beats the QB to the punch, and the receiver doesn't see it and is able to break it up, then there's no one there. Once the D-back catches it, he gone. Bud Clark has taken it to the house. There is a flag. I'm guessing it might be for some celebration. It's generally what happens in these situations. No fun allowed. So, 3:57 to go before the half. It's 17-7, point pending, assuming it's good. And the penalty will probably be assessed on the kick. Texas Christian now laying 11. There is some 11.5 out there. I don't really have any opinion at this point. I mean, when you're up that much, there's always a chance of getting backdoored. They're not even above the number yet. Certainly, it doesn't look too good for North Carolina. As I've said since the first drive, it's been a whole lot of nothing. They did actually get a first down that time. I think it was 12-3 now. No, they didn't. They're still 12-3. Total yards 184 to 84. Total for the game is back at 54.5 or 55. I actually lean under at that point at this price. With TCU having the lead, assuming they can stretch and keep Carolina from continuing to score, there's a good chance they'll try to shorten the game. They run a lot of their plays out of the shotgun with no huddle to begin with, but they can also start to wind the clock if they want. It's also important to see what's up for each team next week, more so for TCU than for Carolina, especially if they're playing from ahead. The goal in these spots when you play these kind of games, especially on the road in a short week, is to get out alive, get out healthy, do whatever you can to make the game easy to get through it and get home. And, they'll be getting home at 4 in the morning anyways. So anything they can do to alleviate some of the concerns for next week's prep, they're got to buy. So, and then they got Abilene Christian and then Smoo. on the 20th at home. So yeah, that'll be, yeah, okay, all right. So smart scheduling by them. I assume Carolina's probably in the. No, I tell you what, they're not. Remember, I did the number for them next week. Let me give you that to you in just a second. I'll give it to you now. So I have the chart here somewhere. Um, Carolina next week has Virginia. No, that's NC State. Um, they got UNC Charlotte on the road. Chapel Hill's not too far from there. My tentative number on that game before tonight was North Carolina minus 20. Again, I don't know how much of an adjustment I'm going to make here. The short week situation obviously plays into it as well. That game is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the only other number I saw that opened before, I think DraftKings had 21.5. So I expect it to be similar to my price. And I don't think I'm going to move it too much here off of one game. You don't want to be over aggressive. TCU has 4 tackles for loss. I'm guessing Carolina nowhere near that. That's sort of the reason why I thought that, once they started to get pressure, they've sort of understood how the game's played out, and they've had them figured out since the first drive. I don't know if those plays are scripted or what, but they certainly have done a good job of making sure that Chip hasn't been the one that's going to beat them. This drive starts at the 35 for North Carolina. At 3:52, I'm going to cheat and look at the box and see what happens here. So they returned at 21 yards. You got a 3-yard run, and then out of the shotgun, Benjamin Hall runs for 10. So now they're out near midfield. Yeah, nice concept there. Good play. That's really their first good running play since the first drive. Maybe they had one on the second drive, or the third, sorry. Okay, so again, nothing doing live. I see nothing in the chats. Feel free to chime in. As things stand, I'm going to call it shortly after the halftime tonight. Again, my main goal here is not to. I'm not worried about content in terms of entertaining you guys tonight. Once this halftime's over with, it's been a long week for me, and I'm sure for you and you guys too. Get back to your family and friends and enjoy your night. Welcome to September. Welcome to football season. Enjoy it. It's a long grind. It's a haul, but it's also enjoyable. I know a lot of us that are here and that'll be joining me love this stuff. It's a passion. It's something that I've built my life around. There's a reason why I'm single. I've had chances to settle down and get married, and maybe even think about having kids, and my choice has been more geared towards selfish endeavors like sports and betting, and marching at the beat of my own drum with these kind of things. So naturally, you don't have to question my dedication to the grind. 2-minute warning. 2nd and 7 for North Carolina at midfield. Basically, the point spread currently on the live price is Texas Christian minus 10. There is some 10.5s as well. TCU does get the ball at halftime, so makes sense. The price is about what I make it. No real specials either way here. Total 53.5. There is some 54.5 out there. I make it exactly 54.5, just based on what the halftime line is going to be, and then you're adding the probability of Carolina scoring here with the down and distance and the time left is, give or take. Well, either team, but Carolina's the favorite. But give or take, there should be about, the average should be about 3.5 points, maybe 4 points scored between now and halftime. And that's how the algorithm comes into play. You figured 27, so 31 or 32. Halftime price at this point looks like it's I don't know, maybe not. It should be higher than that, actually. Because this halftime price should probably be 26.5. Maybe. But I feel like that maybe there's been some over adjustments done in the market. Just because of all these games continuing to go under. The first halves have been a barrage of unders too. And this one's in the same boat. It's all over the number. 26.5, 27, 27.5 were all available at one point. The game's sitting 24, so anything could happen. It's all over everything. And that's why it's vitally important to be able to shop numbers. 27 just cannot begin to hammer home the point enough about how important some of these numbers are. I mean, the first half, you're talking, at the low end, 19, 20, uh, 23, 24 especially is a huge, huge deal. 27, monster deal. 28, 31, 32 an extent. Just 27 and 24 are just like mammoth, just absolutely monsters. Easily worth more than 10 cents. People talk about buying half points or whatever. It costs 10 points to buy a half point. 10 cents to buy a half point off most numbers if you're talking about sides, with the exception of 3. And some places charge you more for 7, which I don't agree with in college. But yeah, if you're talking about half points on totals for games, obviously nothing's worth more than 10 cents. But for first halves, absolutely. Shorten the time from 60 to 30 minutes, increases the value of all points, sides and totals, and the key numbers are just immensely more important. I noticed these 2-minute warnings are taking like 3.5 minutes. So this weekend, that's the first thing I've noticed. I know that last year was the first year of these 2-minute warnings in the college, and they were all the same. They just really jam these ads up your ass at the 2-minute warning. That's a lot of times you'll see no commercials because they know they can get you on them here before halftime. Live prices between 9.5 and 10. Looks like they're already playing again because the prices are going down. Lopez runs it for 3, so now it's 3rd and 4 at the 46. And with both teams having all their timeouts left, it's going to turn into a chess match. If Carolina gets a first down here, then TCU's chances to score become next to nil because they won't be stopping the clock. If they stop them, then they may call timeout, and that changes everything. So let's just see how it plays itself out. I've got my focus on the box score and not the TV. That'll tell me what's going to happen. Lopez throws it deep to Jordan Ship, and it is incomplete. Really surprised that they took a shot there, given the fact that a first down was really important. And you got to find a way to move the chains and move the clock and keep the other team from getting the ball back. And that did not happen. So Carolina's probably going to punt on 4th and 4 from their plus 46. I'm not going to commit to that for sure. Down by 17-7 and the other team gets the ball, they might go for it. Lopez is 2 for 6 after starting 2 for 2. Shotgun. Wow, he took his shot. He had single coverage. Ship's wanting to flag. Nope. I'll say one thing. That was more of a flag than the one they threw on TCU, but that wasn't a flag either. I don't know. I mean, I can't. You can't call that. All right, so Carolina does actually punt, and Texas Christian takes over. 53 seconds left. I wonder what took so long. They must not have downed it. 105 left before the snap, and they got all the way down to 53. So TCU has it at their own 20. Oh, wow, he dropped the punt. That's what happened. Yikes. Dropped the snap. 26 yards is actually a good accomplishment after all that mess. Well, I'll say one thing about this half for Carolina. Since the very first drive of the game, they've made enough mistakes that the coach is going to have a lot to rip their ass about at halftime. He can dig into the special teams coach's ass now. He can dig into the offensive coach's ass now, and he can dig into the defensive coach's ass. They've all equally been responsible for this fiasco. This is absolute one-way traffic. I don't even think that TCU's playing that good. TCU second half, Mikey system play. I can't argue with that. Canasus, great info analysis. Thank you. We're sitting now with 48 seconds. I don't think TCU's even going to have any emphasis to try to score. They get the ball first. They're up 10. They're in a position with the talent and the fact that the other team's kind of shooting themselves in the foot. There's really no reason to try to score. It would obviously be nice to double up if you score and get the ball first coming out. But up 17-7 and getting it first as a favorite going in, I don't see any reason why they think they have to get aggressive here. Yeah, just a quick pass out into the flats to Rogers. Nice and safe. They have all 3 timeouts, and it's college football. Things can happen quickly here and easily. Any first down will stop the clock. Again, in addition to all the timeouts, the kicker, I think, has decent enough range. They may try to play for 3. You can be for sure. The quarterback's a veteran. Just don't make mistakes. Empty backfield. Again, checks down to his back. First down. He gets out of bounds. The 38. All right, now I'm going to go back to the box. It's faster. They did run the ball up the middle. Tried to steal a play there, and it got stopped. So that took 5 seconds because it shows 41 before this play. And now 36. Timeout with 36 seconds. Not going to be a commercial, so the in-game line is only up at a couple of places. I see TCU 11 minus 20 and 51 flat. So that tells me that they're right on the cusp of maybe thinking about scoring. 27 being the right price here, because TCU might get 3, and then the live line will be, not as high as 27 and not as low as 24. I'm interested to hear about your system, Mikey, if you want to explain it to the rest of the people. I'm going to be calling it here after the halftime. We're going to go through, I'll work it all the way through the half, and then I'll be done for the night with the long week factoring into my thought process, in addition to, just not that many people, and I have other things to do, and, you do too, quite frankly. You need to get on with your weekend. You don't need to sit here and listen to me all night. Not tonight. I'll be back on Thursday. I'll be back on Friday. I'll be back Saturday and Sunday. And actually starting probably next week, I'll probably start going every night. I'm not going to commit to it yet, but probably for a little bit earlier in the evening for baseball. One of my friends suggested I do a schedule. I'm not quite to the point where I'm ready to commit to a schedule yet, because one second here. Yeah, because I just don't know. I mean, there's going to be times I work 13 hours on Saturday. I didn't plan on that. Sunday was I worked the first game. There was a break. I closed the camera, put the odd screen up, and came back and worked the second game, just the first halves. There's no rhyme or reason, especially early here. I'm still trying some things out, a lot of trial and error. Obviously I want to sort of get a system in place. I want people to get used to knowing when they can come and see me. The one thing that at least I know I can bank on, and you guys can bank on, is that when a game starts in prime time, if I'm not there, I'm going to be there really, really soon. And that's the most important thing. When you turn on my channel, you know where to find me. Okay, so now TCU throws a slant, and they have a first down into field goal range. Let's go back to the box here. So we have timeout. So 18 yards, first down, after an 11 yards and a first down. They got it out of bounds. So TCU still has 2 timeouts left. And now they've thrown for 7 yards and 10 more yards. And there's a timeout. Texas Christian now with, it says 13 before this play, so they got a play that only lasted 10 seconds. Is that right? Or 3 seconds, I mean. Is that right? Interesting. Hang on a second here. Okay, so let's see, 9 seconds. Okay, so second down at the 16 after an incomplete pass, and that probably is going to be enough to force a field goal. I don't think they're going to play with fire regarding the clock. Good management, worked their way down to get points. Maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive given the timeout situation they had. I told you it's very easy in the college to march it down and grab a few chunks here and there at 6 to 8 a pop or 10 to 12 a pop, to not take much time off. And again, with the clock stopping on first downs, you got all kinds of chances to make things happen in a relatively short period of time. So ESPN fired the box score up. So if you see just the mini box, plays, yards, averages, and time of possession, I'll repeat those to you in just a second, because Texas Christian does kick a field goal here, and that is at the buzzer. So I'm going to give you the halftime line shortly here. Um, Nothing on the chat yet for you to be aware of. I do have Texas Christian -7, -13 for 1.5, and also uh, -5.5, -112 for 1. So 2.5 units on Texas Christian, medium to big size play here at those two prices combined. They're up at the half 20-7, and the halftime price is going to be probably very close to a pick. Maybe TCU is a very small favorite. The total I think will be 26.5 or 27. Let's hang tight and see what pops up, and I'll put the odds screen up for you here in a minute as well, so you guys can see along, and I'll explain the situations with how those work as well, with games playing and what the difference is between what's going on and what's at halftime. So Limmerman's field goal from 33 is good. Texas Christian has the lead at the half, 20-7. They do get the ball first to start the second half, so they do double up. Let's go over the box and the drive summaries. North Carolina first drive, 7 plays, 83 yards, touchdown. It took 4 minutes. After that, punt, 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 pick 6, and another punt. All the drives were only 3 plays until the last drive. They finally got a first down in the last drive of the half. So they went little over an hour and 15 minutes of actual time without even a first down. TCU, after their first drive was a punt, they went touchdown, aided by an official's passing interference, by the way, that Cody correctly called. Field goal, INT in the red zone, and another field goal. So really, if you want to get serious about this, I probably should have gotten 3, if not 7. It should be up either 23 or 27-7 here at the half. One-way traffic, yardage is 247 to 103, rushing yards 54 to 45, passing 193 to 58. The Hoovers, an experienced vet, 20 of 25. The one pick was kind of careless, but also a little bit of a break. It was deflected. First down, 16-4. Penalties not a factor. Turnovers, each team again has 1. The pick 6 for Carolina and the interception in the red zone for TCU. If you want to get, like I said, that the pick 6 was on a short field, so really no threat to score, and then the interception was in the red zone, so kind of a threat to score. So the score probably, in theory, the true score should be somewhere in the 23-24 range, and it's 27. So a slight lean to maybe under, but no, nothing to where you can sit there and say either side's stealing. Lopez has not completed a pass since his first 2 to Jordan Shipp on the first drive. He's 2 for 6. No other statistics worth a note. Carolina's got 18 carries for 45 yards, a 9 and a 10 in there, and after that, really, the other 16 for a total of 26. Not much going. Of course, sacks count as lost yardage, so Gio Lopez 4 for -11. Not ideal. TCU 16 for 54. That's 3.4 rip. Their long is only 9, so not getting it done on the ground, which I'm sure that's a point of emphasis for Michael Lombardi and Belichick to recruit up front to make sure you have big fat guys up there to try to discourage people from running up the middle. And TCU wasn't a team that had success with the run much last year anyway, so we're sitting at 20-7 Texas Christian at the half. Halftime line is out everywhere. I'm not surprised with anything. TCU 3 sort of surprises me, but I guess after reading those stats off and the fact that they do get the ball first, 3's probably right. Math-wise, or based on what the pregame close was, the right line would have been 0.5 to 1.5 TCU. But, well, they're up 13, so yeah, 1.5 would probably be what I would have started with. But my first bet, if it was on the favorite, just go right to 3. There's no reason to worry about numbers falling in this shit. It's a college game, anything can happen. The total's in the 50s. So, yeah, there's a 2.5 out there. There's some 3s, but I think 3's probably right. No opinion. Again, if I didn't have a ticket in pocket on live, I probably would still not get involved. But the fact that I've got some 5.5 and some 7, and with the score being 13, that's basically now 15.5 and 16 on the live prices. Some of the people that are out there don't even have second half prices. Some of the places, I don't know the books exactly. I probably should, but they literally just give you a live line at halftime, which is the gayest shit ever. But I say that as someone who's been booking halftimes for 20-something years. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. The opening price at halftime, it looks like, was 26-ish. There was a 26.5. Pinnacle even has it now. 25.5 is out there as well. 26 is generally a dead number, but with the game sitting 27, there are games in college that fall 53. There's plenty of ways to get to it, even with the game not being particularly close. And so now let's look at the prices on the screen, and I'll be giving you a brief tutorial of what I'm looking at here. Top game, obviously, that's in the blue. That means it's halftime. These are the books that I look at, that you have access to on this screen at least. Some of them are in the States, some of them are offshore. The red number means the line just updated, and that's what they're using most currently. There are numbers, as you see down here, in the yellow and the green. That means that the lines are a little bit older. I haven't refreshed my screen lately, so that's where we get those numbers. These games in the red are final scores. This game in the green here, which I need to change that color. I keep saying that. I don't do it. Let me write this down. I want it to be like tan, like the color this whole line is in here. And then, yeah, this here means it hasn't started. The game that's white. So now you can see this is girls basketball, CFL, college football. And then the baseball games are all gone. These games are all final. I have this one game highlighted here in the middle. You'll see the pitcher for the White Sox never did get decided. The White Sox undecided all night, and they just started undecided. So I guess bad job by Odds Logic not to at least put a starting pitcher on there for listed pitchers. But if they didn't name one, then so be it. But yeah, that's why I couldn't send my thoughts to my friend last night who does listed pitchers. He wanted to know my thoughts. If I didn't know who was pitching for the White Sox, I had to send out two different prices based on that. It was obviously an opener game for them, but yeah, nothing to it. But that's why I can highlight the game, so when I wake up in the morning and see that there's nothing there, and then once they name their pitcher, I just click on it and the highlight goes away. And again, this is just today's games in all sports, so you can see here. I scroll down and I got tennis at the bottom. You can't because it only goes so low. I have this screen on. This is a vertical monitor. It's instead of shaped this way, like most people have their monitors. This one's one of these. The 3 baseball goes. The scores: Texas, Arizona 3-all. The top 6: Baltimore, San Diego 4-3. In the 9th, I have Baltimore there sweating that one out here at the end. And then Tampa Bay leads Seattle 8-0, top 8 at Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa. Football game is going up. There are some 4s popping up now. Mikey system play, TCU. There you go. They're all over it, Mikey. You're making the world stand up and take notice. Total 26, which seems about right. Pretty much painted that. Can't argue with it. I'm going to clear this out. Again, now's the time to ask questions. It's sort of stagnant. There's not any other games going on. And I'm going to call it a night and call it a weekend here in the next few minutes. If you need my price or want my thoughts on any games next week, speak now or hold your peace for the next 69 hours. I will be back Thursday for the first game of the ref season, aka the NFL refs. Let's see the number on that game and see what it changes to. You can write that down if you don't have a screen in front of you. It looks like Dallas is in Philly, and this game is one-way traffic all the way up now through 6.5, 7, and 7.5 with Parsons gone. Now it's 8. Gosh, if I had any balls. I mean, I actually liked Dallas before the season started. I'm a big Warren Sharp disciple, and it's like Micah Parsons is about the most valuable player on defense to his team of anybody in the league. And Dallas's defense with him healthy last year was really, really good. And assuming they have a healthy quarterback, I mean, this is a team that can win in an okay running game, not just great, but just 20th. This is a team that won 11 games a couple years ago. Like, tell me they couldn't do that. And then they get the owner get into a pissing contest with your best defensive player. The next thing you know, you trade him away to a team in the NFC. All right, whatever. So I can't just sit there and say I like Dallas now. But would anybody be shocked if they go to Philly and they play with their hair on fire? I wouldn't. I mean, no team has repeated in that division for like 22 years. I mean, so if Hoyle holds this year, Philly's not winning that division. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays itself out. But obviously, Dallas winning this game would wreck a lot of things. Anybody that's trying to take a free square in the Survivor contests will have to re-up and get involved again before the Saturday deadline. Um, I don't know. There'll be teaser plays for sure. So if Philly wins by less than two or less, then that will be bad as well. I'm all for it. For the most part, I'm one of those guys that roots for the teasers to always lose because in my mind, you don't deserve to win betting that shit. Especially now that they're charging it through the roof for all of it. I think some places are charging like 130, 135 now. It's basically just they just tell you we don't want you to bet that. And to be honest, if I was booking teasers, there's no way. I'm not saying 110's right, but even if they want to play those long teasers through 3 and 7, like I would make sure that I charge as cheap as anybody. I think I was talking to a friend one time. We talked about opening a book called like teasers.com, making like the default page when you log in to go to teasers, like encouraging you to bet teasers before you bet anything else. I just feel like the whole percentage on those is unconscionably high, depending on what your juice is, whether the players don't just willingly are willing to bet it no matter what, which a lot of the recreational people are. Some people that open this halftime 3 are sticking stubbornly to it, 3 minus 22, 3 minus 30 on it, and that's one of those situations with that 3 not necessarily being a number that has to be live. Sometimes you have better value of betting the dog at a cheaper price, but with a better juice, sometimes a plus money number. Not saying I'm advocating for it here. Let's see. What the system play says 80% winner, still have 20% chance to lose. So he's giving me a system play, not telling me what the system is or anybody else watching or listening today. Says it's 80% chance to win or 80% winner in the past. I don't know. Anyways, there you go. My friend, Mega Mikey system play. 8 minutes to go before the second half starts. Everything's again stagnant. I'll stick around all for it because other than eating, I have nothing else to do tonight and working on the back end stuff to try to get everything set up for the scenes. Like I mentioned earlier, to get everything set and looking nice and crisp before Thursday, if not certainly before Saturday. I will be enlisting the help of a couple of people that know, I don't know what to call it, back end, but certainly stuff that to set up, a cleaner broadcast, and it's certainly when I need to take a little bit of a break to help me get screens up to make it look professional when that happens. When a team marches down the field first possession and scores a TD and then gets shut out the rest of the half. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've heard that before. Yep. I'm not going to sit here and plead ignorance. I forgot about it. But yeah, that's a interesting angle. Scripted play angle, perhaps. I'm not sure where you got it from, or whether it's something you have done for years or not. Certainly, I'm not going to disrespect it. There's probably some merit to it. Although, again, the line matters. I mean, it's getting to the point now you can't really be comfortable laying 4 when the line should have probably been like 2.5 at the most. But again, I know what I saw, and certainly what I saw was a North Carolina team that was grossly outclassed on both sides of the ball and really in special teams after the first drive, which only constituted, about 5 plays. So, yeah, it's been one-way traffic since then. Can't argue with anybody who wants to go for more on TCU. I just feel like I did a good job of jumping in at the right time with the ability to lay 7 minus 13 and then come back in late in the second quarter before the pick 6 and get some 5.5 minus 12. O laid 2 ain't that good. I'm assuming I laid 2 is that good. Yes. You laid 2, that's good. 2 will work. Win or lose, you got an okay number. Mikey system play, you're welcome. I love it. Gotta love guys that grade their own games and pat their own backs and suck their own cocks before the games get graded. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are very, very opposite. They want to avoid the possible mushes. They're very anti-mush, and a lot of them are very superstitious. I have superstitions, but I'm not necessarily anti the fact that if you like something, you're confident, you're willing to back it with your hard-earned money, you should be able to talk all you want to. Super important that I make sure that point is clear. And also, there's a rule about when you can call a team my team or our team or we compared to just calling the team by it is. Ball State's my alma mater. Ball State plays Purdue on Saturday. If I didn't have a bet on Ball State, they would just be Ball State. They can't be we. Now they're my alma mater, but I didn't play for Ball State. I'm not a player. I'm not an ex-player. I'm not an ex-coach. I don't get to count. But if Ball State plus 17.5 is a bet, and it's for a significant amount of money, something that makes me uncomfortable when I lose, then I'm allowed to call them we. That's the rules. That's my rules, and they are steadfast, and I will consistently make fun of you if you break those rules. I have a friend, Minor R, who's a Barcelona fan in Costa Rica, and he doesn't bet, but he calls Barcelona we. Well, I don't allow that. Even though he's a huge Barcelona fan and he roots for them, he doesn't bet. He never played for them. He doesn't know any of their players. He doesn't know any of their fans. He doesn't know anybody that lives in Spain. He doesn't get to call them we. I refuse to allow that as a acceptable situation. Can't be we. Baltimore has beaten San Diego. My baseball today is in the barn. I'll call it a satisfactory day. 3-1, 2 underdog winners. Good start to the month. I was up as many as 23 units on the season in baseball until the 20th of 25th through August. I went 4-22 and donked almost all of it back. But 4.2 winner in the season going today. Baltimore plus 140. The Braves blew it against the Cubs. That should have been a 4-0 day. And then the other two winners, Reds and Houston. So yeah, only one dog winner, sorry. Either way, that's 1.4, 2.4, 3.4. Excellent to start the month. I'll be working on tomorrow's baseball after I eat. Like I say, feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Want my numbers for any games next week. I'll be glad to share them with you in the next 3 to 5 minutes before I call it a night. They're on their last commercial timeout, I would assume, before the second half starts. I got nothing else really on this end. If nobody's got anything else for me, I see tonight was close to a record number of viewers, and I do appreciate the chats and the interaction. Again, with the fact that there's not much to do with this game live, it has a high potential for a blowout, especially if TCU takes down and scores in the second half. And let's face it, I want you to spend your time with me going forward. Most of these nights, tonight's not one of those nights. I want you to enjoy your nights. All you guys that are here have a passion for sports and sports betting, and Lord knows you've been watching these games all weekend as well. Rest, relax, spend time with your family, spend time watching something else, doing something else with your life. If you want to watch the rest of this game, feel free to do it. You're just not going to have me to guide you along with it. I need to take care of a few things and prepare for the rest of the week. This Labor Day weekend's always a fruitful and fulfilling one, but again, when it's over with, get to decompress, take a deep breath, and then remind myself that it's a long season and there's 15 more of these things coming. So, and then again, after that, there's another 15 until college basketball's over. Let's see what else. Anything. The totals all over the place here towards the end. There's a lot of 26s still, but there is some people that are moving it off of the 26 based on some money. There are a couple people that are stuck with it on 26. That's Bet Online's one of them with juice to the over. The line percolating anywhere from as low as 2.5 minus 19 at Pinnacle to 3 minus a bunch. There are some 4 flats offshore and in town. South Point's still 4, circa 3.5. Bet War is 4. Chris is 4 dog money. So yeah, there's the hodgepodge of different numbers at halftime here still. Second half roughly. It says 4 minutes on my TE, which means probably 2 minutes for everybody else. I don't see any other chats. I see no YouTube chats tonight. Oh man, I'm looking forward to this weather. Today's the last guaranteed. It's going to be close to 100 tomorrow. Today it was 106 earlier. Still 105, even as the sun has almost set. Yeah, so I lied earlier. There's one more commercial before the second half starts. Should have known that. The Mouse is going to get their money's worth in these standalone games. South Point knocked down to 3.5. It looks like Circa's now 3.5 flat as well. Buckeye, same. So the consensus before the halftime price, if you're trying to jot these things for yourself, I don't usually 3.5. So with the live line in place, that would equal to those who are betting live 20-7. 3.5 would be 16.5 on TCU, and the total 53.5, 27 and 26.5. So those of you who are trying to bet the second half live or trying to get involved live as the second half starts, just remember the books are working off the average prices at halftime. The algorithm says, and or the betting market has told them to close it at 16.5 on top, and the total 53.5. And once the half starts, the numbers will be moving up and down based on that price and not the original price that the game closed, which was roughly TCU 3.5 on top and 55. Okay, I think that's about it. I don't see anything on YouTube, and I don't see any questions on the Twitch. I want to thank you guys for checking in as always. I'll stick around for just another minute or two or play or two into the third quarter, unless just in case somebody thinks of something that might pop up. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all back. Please tell a friend. Please subscribe. That's the most important thing. My way to try to reach out to people and get this thing to be popular is going to be a lot easier. Twitch will start to catch what I'm doing and give me the ability to earn, whether it be advertisements or otherwise. If I can show that I can have people actually paying attention to what I'm doing and not just talking to myself, interacting with me is a great help as well. Tell your friends, anybody that likes sports, anybody that's watched a game with me before knows how fun it is. My goal obviously is to inform, entertain, and educate, and I want this to be a career and a future. I want you guys to help me grow it. I want you to tell your friends that, I think that I'm really good at this, but until some people find out about it, nobody's really going to know. And my goal is to have it to be a big old discussion every time there's a game, and people can try to come in here and chime in. I want there to be some good back and forth between you guys and myself. I don't care if you have a back and forth with each other. That's fun too. I want to have guests on. I want to talk to them about what they like. I have all kinds of friends that are in the business, whether they be sportsbook people, offshore people, VSIN people, the Doug Kazarians of the world who have worked for a bunch of different people, are doing his own thing now. All kinds of folks like that. And I'd like to work with them and do some stuff with them, and, sort of pro bono stuff, or whatever, quid pro quo you want to call it, where they're helping me and I'm helping them. And it's a big community, and I think that there's a chance for all of us to do really well. And there's a lot of smart people out there that can make money betting, and there's a lot of people that can make money. And like I say, for me, I think content-wise is my way to go. It's my safety net. I've been up and down six figures in my life multiple times. I'm getting too old for this betting stuff with the with the way things are in today's markets. Yikes! This guy's running like Forrest Gump. I'm guessing there's a flag. That was way too easy. Maybe there's not one. Nope. First play of the half, Kavorian Barnes. Off right tackle, 75 yards. TCU 26-7, point pending. Mega Mikey. Off to a fabulous start here after halftime. And my thoughts on leaning under and wanting 27 at halftime, thankfully, were not didn't do anything with it. It's under 54. It's like it's drawn dead. But I say that now, who knows? 27-7, 12 seconds into the second half. Live price TCU now 22 at Chris, 24 dog money at Pinnacle. Circa and Westgate have pulled the plug. To be fair, Casey at the Westgate was in charge of the end game, so I asked him to pop in, and he said he was working. But I think he knew what was going on. He acted like he was going to call it at halftime. I even made a mention to him. Let's see if that's what he actually did. Handing off the baton. All right, so that'll do it for me. I actually have it on. I'm gonna have the audio on at the very least while I work on some dinner. TCU 27, Carolina 7, early third quarter. Hopefully this was informative, educational, and entertaining. And happy Labor Day to all of you. Enjoy it. The next holiday is not till Thanksgiving Day. Sorry to bring you down for those of you who have Monday through Friday 9 to 5s. Yeah, there are no college games on Thursday. The NFL ref game to start the season in Philly. Their first home game since 2019 in Week 1, by the way. It's an interesting tidbit I got earlier. 8:20 Eastern time, I'll be on around that time, maybe a smidge before. Current price, Philadelphia up to 8-48, some 47.5, so they're on the total as well. Friday, 2 college games, 7 and 7:30. James Madison, Louisville, and Northern Illinois, Maryland. Following that is an NFL game in Brazil between Kansas City and the Chargers, or LAC, which is Clippers. That game is at 8. It says 8. I'm guessing it'll be a little after that. I'll be around for at least the first half of that and all the other college games as well. So that's the tentative plan for this week. Nothing tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, back for a few hours, the same timetable that we were tonight or a little before. And then Saturday, all day banger. First game's at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern. I'll be here for at least 12 hours on Saturday. So let's do it. Let's have fun. Let's make some money. Good luck to everybody. Have a good rest of the night. God bless. Talk soon. Be well. Be safe.